I'm talking with Don Benson, the President of the New Zealand Touch Association, over here with his side for the inaugural test between the Australian Touch Association Men's Open side and the New Zealand side. Don, how are they going to go today?
Well, we're not too sure because we're not quite sure what to expect actually. We've worked very hard on a few things that we realised we're going to need to. For instance, when we first arrived, we had some games and straight away realised that our defence wasn't quite up to scratch. So we've worked very hard on that. We have the advantage of the game today being played basically to our rules. So the ball is in our court, so we're just going to have to perform. Simple as that.
Yes, we threw it on the Australian players last night that we're going to play it without a marker and with the roll ball and no playing the ball forward. Some of them thought that was a little bit rude, throwing it on them at the 1 day's notice, but we'll see how they go in relation to adjustment. Welcome to the inaugural international touch competition between Australia and New Zealand, held here in Melbourne on the 23rd of March 1985. The referees for the game are Mr Neville Hockey and Mr Des Sharman from New South Wales and Queensland respectively. And here comes the Australian team now. A crowd of about 1,000 to watch this historic inaugural international match. New Zealand team led out by its captain Charlie Williams from North Harbour. I spoke with him before the game.
Number 11, Seed 10, under 9, Greg Barron, New South Wales.
I'm talking with Charlie Williams, the captain of the New Zealand side. Charlie, how are you going to go today?
Well, we're just going to take things how they come. The boys are keen and that's the main thing. We're hoping to have a good game.
Yes, the rule changes have given some of the Australians a little bit to worry about. They're a little concerned about some of them, but we think it'll be an exciting match.
Well, we're looking forward to an exciting match.
Good. What about the rain? Do you think the rain's going to affect your style of play?
Well, I think it might help us. It's going to be a little bit cooler and we need that.
All right, best of luck.
Thank you.
This match is 25 minutes each way with a 5-minute break for half time. Australia, number 1, Gary Lawes from the ACT.
What about the half-time score, Phil? What do you think? 1-1.
Very exciting, Dennis. The first half was unbelievable. Really, to see the scoreline at 1-1 at half-time, absolutely marvellous.
It's interesting to see the tactics of the Kiwis. They're utilising their rule knowledge around the middle very well. They're taking their acting half down the middle, who tends to be the general and controlling play. Hooker's doing very, very well. And our players have taken a while to adapt. Do you think they'll adapt in the second half?
Yeah, you're right there. Our game base is basically worked around the first man off the ruck, and certainly under these rules, your acting half becomes the person that makes the play, and New Zealanders are certainly using that to the best effect that they possibly can, and I'm sure that in the second half the Australian boys will probably work it out a little bit better and maybe be able to perform a little bit stronger in the second half.
They're certainly showing some signs of adaptation. They're obviously having trouble working their wraps. The wrap is one of the most effective subunit skills we have, and because they're not pulling the opposition forward,
Right.
It doesn't seem to be working. But we'll see how they go in the second half.
Certainly will, yeah.
Well, as we line up for the second half, the weather here looks very threatening. Melbourne has given us some terrible overcast weather with showers, and it looks like we're in for a very wet second half. The scores at the first half, 1-1. Well, there it is. You've witnessed an historic occasion here this afternoon with the first international between Australia and New Zealand. The final score, Australia running out winners 4 touchdowns to 1. In the first half, the first touchdown scored by Gary Lawless from the ACT and the equaliser by Billy Kem from North Harbour for New Zealand. At half-time, the scores 1-1. In the second half, however, Australia managed to go in 3 times. Firstly by Paul Barton from New South Wales, and then Greg Barron from New South Wales got a double. The final score, Australia 4 defeated New Zealand 1 in the first touch international.
Please have Australia and New Zealand teams busy.
Well, what do you think, Phil? The final scoreline of 4-1.
Well, it's pretty close to the prediction, Den, but here again, it's one of those things. A great result as far as Australia is concerned, but the biggest result is the game of touch. A 4-1 result, a magic result as far as I'm concerned, and it can only be good for the game.
I think so. And looking on the international scene with Fiji about to get into it and Papua New Guinea as well, I think international touch has a long way to go.
Yes, I think we've only just scraped the surface, Den, and I'm sure in years to come we can see World Cups and things that we probably never envisaged a few years ago when we initially kicked it off.
Good
Great
on you,
stuff.
Phil. Sunday morning, the 24th of March, sees a little sunshine at the South Melbourne Cricket Ground for the first international game between the Australian men's over 30 side and the New Zealand side. Before the match, I spoke to the Australian coach, Nick Silvestro. Nick, yesterday the Kiwis were defeated 4-1 by the open side. How do you think the over 30s will go today?
Well, I think we should go very well. The game yesterday was a very good game, but looking at it, I think we've learned a lot from yesterday's game, and I think that we can go on and put a better score in.
Yes, you had the advantage of at least seeing the top sides play under the new rules. The new rules, no problems with the roll ball, no problems with the removal of the tap forward. But what about the removal of the marker option? How do you think they'll go adjusting to that rule?
Yes, removing the marker creates a small problem. What it does do, it makes you, it closes the gap up a little bit onto the field. I think it's going to make it a little bit harder to score than what it is now. As you know, there's normally six players spread across the field. So when you bring one player back into the line, it just means that you're closing the gap up. And
I noticed yesterday that the Kiwis pushed through the middle a great deal. They were using the acting half to set up play. He was the general. Do you think that might be the way to go?
Well, yes, it could be, but I tend to think that if he goes too far with the ball, he could be stagnate the play. I tend to think that still the first player off the ruck could be the player that does all the damage.
Talking with the Australians last night, they said that they had some difficulty in working their wraps and switches in close because they had the opposition so far away. There was no real pressure and they couldn't draw anyone in. Do you think that could be a problem as well?
Yes, I think that is a big problem. One thing I did notice is that the line now doesn't need to move up too quickly. Now that you've got the 7 players in the line, the main thing now is that you come up together and not sending one player up quicker than the other, and so that you get that situation where a player tucks in behind. Now that you just take all your players close to the ruck, straight up together, very nice and easy, and that's a good defensive pattern.
I think it'll give our coaches something to work about in the
Yes.
next few months.
Oh,
And listen, what
it's
about the
great.
weather? Yesterday's weather brought the score back. I was predicting a 7-2, back to 4-1. What about this morning? Do you think...
Yes. Well, looking at the ground this morning, I thought it would be a lot worse, but I've had a look at the ground this morning, and it's pretty good shape. I think the ball will be a little bit slippery, but I don't think our fellas will have any problem with it.
All right, well, best of luck, and let's see if you can do as well as the Australian Men's Open did.
Thanks very much,
Nick Silvestro.
Those players taking part in the Australian-New Zealand game. Up for the Australia from New South Wales, manager Peter Reid from New South Wales. The New Zealand side, Charlie Wick, Danny Brown, Grant Smith and Don Benson. Lionson, Bruce Beagle and Ken Edwards.
About 5 or 10 minutes to go, the Australian side got on top and showed their condition and sport to stay out! Very credible. They can make any easy task for this style run. They take touch player of all times, having represented New South Wales since 1973 and every New South Wales side has ever been. Probably one of the greatest touch players ever to play the game in Australia. I'm sure today we're going to get there. Serious control of the ball. Beautiful. Back in 10-4, but we haven't even seen another pass get around. Control the play as well as the captain. A brilliant touch player, Charlie yesterday. Love to see him with the example and certainly one of his players. I tell you, he's been upset there, Australian, so I'm sure that the position in the ground being very great. As New Zealand is a turn as a game to continue to progress. Good hand, good play, good slide in it. The ball picked up, slipped back inside to Alameda, flick pass inside again, beautiful. Well, he wouldn't get into a ball, they'll take the ball that way, and you look at him, he takes it. Look at his currently, he's got to be Booker by name. We're using the two referee systems today. The referees officiating the game. Currently on the field we have from New South Wales, the Land Harrogate, the referee from Queensland. The referees interchange as the situation arises. Another rest, thus keeping the mistakes from minimum. Not playing in the certainly not playing down and change and find out a better play in play and the other referee. New Zealand taking the ball away, taking up the halfway line here, good backline movement. I've just got to join me, Don Benson, the president of the New Zealand Touch Association. Don, how have you enjoyed the club?
Wonderful, mate. Thoroughly enjoyed every minute.
And what did you think of the standard of the Australian games during the week prior to and leading up to the test?
Even higher than we expected. We expected it to be high, but God, it was such a high standard. I don't.
Charlie Willis making a break, a good ball. I think the boys performed incredibly, certainly in the first half, the whole Australia to a one-all situation, and possibly, as you say, the result could have been a lot closer.
We also took the come away in the second half and possibly win it off.
Touchdown to Australia, scored by Paul
Paul
Johnson.
Johnson just climbing the score for Australia there in the some of the New Zealand players, Don, you might like to just move to some of them that you do know and have seen in your area that possibly we can watch you tonight.
Well, the captain, Charlie Williams, is a full-time touch footballer. He plays no other code. They're magnificent sports people, extremely enthusiastic, and they know their game.
Do you think the boys have enjoyed themselves? Certainly here for a week it's usually hard to be on a tour, and have you found the hospitality and have you been looked after?
Overwhelmed with hospitality, and we've learnt the game. They're still playing an international, and they're treating it as such.
They certainly are. They're performing very well here, and I'm sure that the outcome of this one will be just as close as it was yesterday. As we speak, you see Paul Johnson just go through there. Contingent is concerned?
Most definitely. We will be only too happy to consider any invitation that we receive, and so I think we'll be able to really perform well.
Yes, well, this will be the thing, I think, from our side.
1 is Charlie, 2 is Lindsay, 3 is Billy Kim, 5 is Tony Matthews. On your rotary. We need a proper touchdown here. We need a bad here. It would be working up in there, and we're definitely there.
There's a good move there. Look at this nice run around. Good skills on your New Zealand part there. The boys are certainly very skillful with the ball.
Better on a dry day, and they're used to a bigger ball.
The Australian boys seem to have adapted to these rules. I thought they'd find difficulty, but gee whiz, in yesterday's test match and again today, it's marvellous how quickly they have adapted.
It simplifies the game actually and speeds it up, in my opinion. We've experimented with all the rules.
Yeah, that roll ball quickens the movement of the ball from around that ruck area. That's going to be good for the game, as well as, here we go, a very good break here, and New Zealand take the ball up to halfway. Them and trying to discuss rules and discuss different things while you've been here, and it's probably been of assistance to Danny Brown that you've brought over as far as your refereeing side is concerned. I'm sure Danny will go back with some good ideas, and this could only go well for the game in New Zealand as far as refereeing is concerned.
He probably shortcut a lot of problems that we could have faced, and we came up fairly clean on the day, and I think it was due to Joe's enthusiasm that we did it.
Charlie Williams making a good run there. It's brilliant to see players with the ball skills. We've got quite a few good ball players, but every one of you for these New Zealand guys to get used to these type of rules than it is for our guys. Owen Lane with a beautiful flick pass back inside to Ron Wall there. Referee looks for his linesman and awards the third touchdown of the match to Australia. Australia now deep insertion into the New Zealand half. A good touch from behind there. Charlie Williams again. He's certainly everywhere. Charlie Williams. He's well, that's tremendous, and we really look forward to the day that we can certainly field more than one side against the New Zealand people.
Yes.
Here again, Australia deep in the New Zealand half.
Before he's a master tactician and can develop a good movement, and he can really read a game.
New Zealand still probing away. Beautiful pass. Lindsay Hooker flick pass to Charlie Williams. Oh, bad pass in from Charlie. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the conclusion of the second international, Australia-New Zealand. Australia running out the winners, 3 touchdowns to 0. Don. It's a great thrill for me, and I hope it's as you've already said, it's certainly a thrill for you. I think. We have Paul Johnson, one of the victorious players in the Australia-New Zealand International in the over-30s division. Paul, your comments on the game. You certainly had a brilliant game out there and scored 2 touchdowns, and I'm sure you're very proud of that.
Very proud of it, Phil, and very proud of the way the Australian boys played. We adjusted to new rules fairly quickly. There was a bit of a change, as you know, with the marker not being able to stay. He has to retreat back to the 5-yard line, and we took a bit of adjusting to that in attack rather than defence, but we were very proud of our effort today, particularly keeping the Kiwis to 3-0.
I then caught up with the captain of the New Zealand side, Charlie Williams. The New Zealand over 30 side have just gone down now to the Australian side by 3-0. What are your comments now?
Well, there's not much we can do about it. They're both good sides. The boys tried hard. We're happy with the result.
I think at the beginning of the week some people were predicting 10s and 15s to 0. Certainly your performance in the last 2 days has proved them wrong. Your development over the week gives you much credit to your keenness and your devotion to the game. How's it developing in New Zealand?
The game's really coming along in New Zealand. The standard's a little bit higher here, but we're hoping to pull that back.
Good. Perhaps next year or the year after another international, and maybe the situation will reverse itself.
I certainly hope so.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Speaking with Owen Lane, the captain of the victorious men's over 30 side, who have just defeated New Zealand in the very first Test International 3-0. Owen, tell me about the game.
Very good game, Dennis. We enjoyed it. I was talking to fellas after the game, and they've all said that very hard game, pretty physical side too. A little bit different to what we're used to here. The new rules, like Peter said, had a few problems early on, but we adapted as the game went on, and slowly we gradually got on top. Good effort by the boys, I thought. 3-0, very good.
Excellent effort. When you compare it with yesterday's result against the Men's Open, 4-1,
Yeah.
the margin the same. Does that indicate that the over 30s are perhaps as good as the Australian Men's Open?
Oh, you never know, do you? The old timers, they've got a little bit of experience. Not quite as much speed, but a little bit more hard heads there, I think, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, there are a few 35 to 38-year-olds out there
There's a couple of us, I think. I don't like to think about that though. It's over 30s is what we're in.
Well done anyway. Congratulations from everyone. I think it's important that the fellows in the over 30s are given the opportunity at the international level to show their wares, and I think you've done the country proud.
Yeah, well, we're very, very happy. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Congratulations again.
Thanks, Dan. Ta. Hey.
I then spoke briefly with Peter Reid, manager of the men's over 30 side.
The game we could find new tactics to overcome the change of rules.
Yes, it was a little difficult throwing it on them with 24 hours notice, but I think they adapted, particularly in the second half.
They did, that's for sure, you know. Of course, you're talking about the elite players, you know, from throughout Australia. It doesn't take much for them to pick it up. But the first few minutes in the game, they found it a little bit difficult, but as you say, as the game progressed, they picked up the rules.
Fine. Thanks very kindly.
Thank you very much.
Well, that brings to a close this inaugural series between Australia and New Zealand. Although Australia the victor in both matches this time round, certainly the ability and the standard shown by all players augurs well to the future of international touch.